Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Michael for Spirit Comics. Welcome to my first movie review. And if you hear a sort of sigh in my voice, kind of like I really wish I didn't have to do this, then you're correct. I went to see Star Wars The Last Jedi today with my mom. Guess what? I had a great time. Why? Because I was spending it with my mother, whom I love very much. And afterward, she took me to Highway 55 to eat. And if you've never eaten there, I suggest you do if there's one close to you. It's a place for burgers and stuff like that. But the decor of the restaurant is the decoration is 1950s style. I think that's why they call it Highway 55, possibly. Chairs, booths, everything, practically everything is 1950s style. And they have 50s music playing, I believe. It's a good atmosphere. But, I'm not going to review a restaurant. That's not what I'm about. I will admit, I went into the movie having listened to the reviews of other people about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I even listened to some videos from that had Mark Hamill, who plays Luke Skywalker. Videos where he shared his depreciation of, how the movie turned out. That he did not like how his character was portrayed by the director, Ryan, what's his name? And I have to agree. When Luke comes on the screen and says, "The Jedi must end," or "must die," or whatever it is, I'm with Mark Hamill, who said that Luke Skywalker was a optimistic, hopeful person. And all of a sudden he's done this turnaround. What's the deal? Well, it's because I think possibly in the context of the writing, Luke Skywalker was written out to be a kind of new Obi-Wan Kenobi, or new Yoda. But he was still, a fresh face on the scene of the Jedi. And, spoiler warning right now, if you haven't seen the movie, if you listen anymore, you're going to get some spoilers of some stuff that happens in the movie. Okay? So, if you're still listening, then great. I love to have people listen to my videos. But, if you're like me, then spoilers go in one ear and basically out the other most of the time. But not all the time. Anyways, when Kylo Ren, or his actual name is Ben Solo, was born to Leia and Han Solo, or Han and Leia, when he was old enough, Ben Solo was sent to Luke so that he could train Ben Solo in the ways of the Force. And Luke Skywalker, the brother of Leia, sensed in Ben the darkness, stronger than even Darth Vader had in him. And so what Luke does is he goes to end Ben Solo, because he knows if he does, then he's saving the galaxy from a terrible headache. Well, what happens is And Ben Solo is sleeping at the time. Of course, we see this in flashbacks. And all of a sudden, he wakes up. He turns around and he burns down the temple of training that Luke had constructed for training new Jedi. And he, Ben Solo, killed several of the trainees and took some with him, according to the movie. And so Han and Leia lost their only son. And Leia admits later in the movie that Ben was lost, long ago. So this is why I believe Luke Skywalker has this whole attitude, the Jedi must end, they must die, It's basically the director making Luke Skywalker out to be this Jedi who has this pity party on himself. Well, since I messed up training my sister's kid, then I don't want to have anything more to do with it. So it's basically a pity party for himself. The Luke Skywalker that Mark Hamill played originally, if he had been written differently, Luke Skywalker could have mourned over his failure, mourned over the loss of the students, but kept on going because it was the right path to choose. Because there must be a force of good in the Star Wars universe to oppose the bad. But no. Even Yoda, the ghost of Yoda shows up and he burns down the Jedi tree. There's this humongous tree in the movie that contains inside of it the text of the Jedi religion. And Luke Skywalker is going to burn down this tree with his powers, is going to set it ablaze, but then stops. He hesitates and decides not to. All of a sudden, Yoda's here! And he looks older than he did, in the movies, 30 odd years ago. And then, whoosh! With one thought, I swear to goodness, Yoda burned down the Jedi tree with the text of the Jedi religion inside of it. And he's acting like it's no big deal. I'm like, what? And I'm sorry to any women out there who's going to find this offensive. I remember in the original 3 movies, there were guys behind the X-Wings fighting. In this movie, I know people are going to, if anybody watches this movie and disapproves of what I'm about to say, they're going to call me a misogynist or hateful or whatever. But I see women behind the X-Wing. I see women in positions of command. Yes, I can accept that Leia was the general. That's cool because she is a great character. She's a legacy character. Leia, Han, Luke, Chewie, C-3PO, R2-D2, legacy characters. They were there from the start. And so far, Han Solo's been killed off. And then we have these new characters. I like Finn. I like Poe. I even like Rey. But this new one that was introduced in the show, her name is Rose. She is annoying as can be. The male characters, they decide they want to do something. They have a course of action set in their mind, and she's like, no. and she complains. You can't do that for whatever reason. And one of the parts of the movie that annoyed me to no end, that could have been a great action scene, is toward the end of the movie. The rebels, or resistance, they have fled to this mountain. Not mountain, but planet, so they can have so they can have some safety from the Sith, or the bad guys. They're basically hiding inside an ice mountain, but it's not totally impenetrable, because the Galactic Empire, that they come with this huge cannon. I mean, it's huge, and the cannon starts firing there at the mountain entrance. It's like a big, huge metal type door thing. And so Finn realizes the only way to take out this cannon is for there to be something to interrupt the cannon's laser. So it's like, this is the cannon here, okay? And here's Finn. He's going. This is the cannon is firing right there at the door of their stronghold, for whatever. And here's Finn. He's coming in. He's flying this rinky-dink, type aircraft, and he's going to go. He tries to fly as close as he can to the cannon to interrupt the beam, so it will stop firing on the mountain. That would result in a big explosion. It would be wonderful. It would be great. But what happens? This character Rose. What happens? This character Rose, she comes in because she's flying the same contraption that Finn is. That's really pathetic. I mean, you could sort of call them crop dusters in a way. But, that. And she goes, knocks Finn out of the way, saving Finn. So it's, girl power time. I'm sure she saved Finn, and that prevented the movie from having a big explosion. And I like explosions. I do. I like Finn as a character, but that could have been a pivotal moment in the movie, which would result in lots of people crying over Finn's loss. Both the characters in the movie and the fans. But instead, this girl goes, knocks him out of the way, and she almost dies. And I am so freaking mad. I'm yelling at the screen. Now, you deserve what you got. So I really do not like this character, because she prevented a really good explosion scene. And it's not her fault. It's the director. I believe it's his fault. And then there's a scene where Poe Dameron is told by the woman who took the place of Leia Organa, the General Leia Organa, to go to get out of the way, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. What this woman does, who was replacing Leia Organa, the General, she was launching the transports in front from their big carrier. And Poe Dameron was like, if you do that, they'll be picked off one at a time. Which is logical. And I tell you, if if they did that, then that is exactly what would happen. So he says, it's not going to happen. So he tells her off. He tells her that she's a coward and a traitor, and he gets taken away. And then ultimately, he has to go along with the plan because Leia Organa, the general, she gets back up because she's been unconscious for a while, and she stuns Poe Dameron with a blast. I am glad Carrie Fisher is not alive today. And so then Poe Dameron has to go along with what this dame's saying. And even though they did not allow it, they did not allow the character Poe Dameron to say, "See, I told you so!" They start launching these little transports that have the people in them, the resistance. This is before they get to the planet where the cannon comes in. This is before that. They start towards the planet where they will eventually try to seek refuge from the Galactic Empire, like I told you previously. But there will be a cannon that will come in play that'll just cause a whole lot of trouble. Before they get there, the transports are going one by one, and then what does the Galactic Empire do? They take off. They pick off the transports one by one, and Poe Dameron does not say, "See, I told you so." I think because the director is what's the word? Pansy. Yeah, that's an old word, but you look it up, and you'll find the meaning for it. Pansy. Pansy. I mean, they portray the men in this movie like they're idiots, as if the men don't know what they're doing. Then, for some unexplainable reason, Luke Skywalker suddenly arrives at this stronghold there on the planet before that cannon gets there. I mean, we don't see a ship or anything. All of a sudden, boom, he's there. And then the Galactic Empire comes in, and Luke Skywalker walks out to confront Kylo Ren. Well, instead of giving us an epic battle, Kylo Ren versus Luke Skywalker, a good lightsaber duel. What do? They have the character Kylo Ren say, "Train all your guns on that man and fire!" And I'm like, seriously? I mean, just one of their what are they called? The big walker type machines. One of those could have taken him out. And so there's about 7 or 8 of them trained on Luke Skywalker at the same time, making big explosions. And so then Kylo Ren's helper, assistant, lackey, slave, whatever it is, asks, you think he got him? So Kylo Ren says, okay, halt your fire. And Luke Skywalker is still standing there. And so this is leading up to the big stupid. Instead of getting, Kylo Ren gets out of his ship and walks down to Luke Skywalker, and they start to battle. But does Luke Skywalker fight back? No, he dodges. I mean, his lightsaber is active. It's humming, but he does this when Kylo Ren goes, so that he doesn't get his head lopped off. Then he dodges another attack, and then at one point Kylo Ren goes right through his midsection. Now that should give us a bloody scene, or a vaporized scene where he's all of a sudden gone. But nothing happens. The saber goes right through him. It doesn't affect him. So then Kylo Ren's curious, what's going on? So he walks right up to him with his saber and goes, pushes it right through him with no effect. And then Luke Skywalker makes some sort of comment like you may strike me down in your moment of anger, but I will always be with you like your father. But he can't, because Luke Skywalker is not really there. Luke Skywalker is still on his island. He's using astral projection so that he can be there on that planet, defending or trying to defend everyone so that they can get away, they can get to safety. And here comes the big stupid. That's what I'm calling it, the big stupid. After the fight scene is finished and Kylo Ren goes on his way, and everybody and all the rest, they fly away. The camera pans back to the island on the planet where Luke Skywalker is, and he's sitting there almost like in a meditative state. And then he slumps over, and we see the camera focus in on his face, and it's red as can be. He looks exhausted. This is a Jedi Master we're talking about here. He looks exhausted, like he needs some rest. But instead of Luke Skywalker crawling or getting back up and walking back to his hut, all of a sudden he vanishes like that. He wasn't stricken down with a lightsaber like Obi-Wan Kenobi was. No, he just vanishes from exhaustion. I mean, really? This movie was horrible. It had some good moments in the opening, the explosions, shooting, fighting. But what the heck? I mean, I hope they don't get the same director for the next part. And how are they going to explain Leia Organa? I mean, she in the context of the film is still alive. Carrie Fisher, who portrayed her, died months ago. So I know I said I would never rate comic books, and I still, from like people do from 1 to 5, but I never say anything about movies. If I had to rate this, I would give this a -10. This had so much wrong with it. And there was another problem in The Force Awakens. issue 7, which came out in 2015, there was some hinting in the movie that Rey's parents, or at least her father, might be Luke Skywalker. But there was no reveal about that in this movie. And even worse, they made The Force Awakens so that The Last Jedi would have to take place within the same time period, not like 3 years from the time the previous movie was made. So this movie was a big fail. I do not recommend going to see this movie at all. The music was good, the popcorn was good, the drink was good, spending time with my mother was great, but the movie, it was, now that I have a chance to really reflect on it, that movie was horrible. So that is my impressions of Star Wars The Last Jedi. Do not go see it, because that is not worth your money. I'm Michael for Spirit Comics. I do hope you will subscribe to my channel and smash the bell like She-Hulk so you'll be notified of all new uploads. And if you agree with my opinion, please like this video and share it with someone else. But that's all I have for now regarding this movie, and I hope to do more movie reviews in the future. There's some come out that I do want to see. So until next time, true readers,